It's a pleasure to have you all of you here. It's nice to see we have all these women interested in tech. And as we embark on this journey, we hope that everybody feels like this is a very safe space for us as women and the impact that we're gonna want to make as women in tech. We wanna just start with like, what do you guys feel about tech? A little bit of introduction. So, a little bit of introduction. I didn't tell you my name, so my name is Leslie. We just want to get to know you on a personal level. Personal level, like tech-wise, and kind of talk about like what you guys feel like you want to see within the job space. So we want to create a community that us as women, we are feeling we can be able to face our challenges together. In case of any resources you guys need, like we are open to provide such resources, like people, since we've been in the industry. And maybe like if you're new in the industry, you need mentorship from a coach, any one of us. Because there is me, there's Tumi, there's Judy, there's Cynthia, there's Fiona. We are not everybody just gonna introduce themselves. But we want to start it and hopefully like this express gonna be like really wide within Africa and make an impact within the women within like just Africa itself. Yeah. So I'm just gonna hand over the mic and then you're gonna tell us your name and what you would love to see. Like what are your expectations? What do you feel like you need to be guided through? What it can be anything, but it can be anything. We're not limited. Yeah.
Okay, that's why. Hi everyone. I'm Lavender. What I'd like to see more in the tech space is a lot of how can I say it, like solution-oriented building rather than just and more of like, I don't say human-centered because now I'll just be entering the conversation, but a lot of testing of products that are solution-based. I don't know if that makes sense. For example, and women doing that especially. If I could just give a quick example, is maybe we set like a day in a month where we are actually designing a solution on ground rather than in a room somewhere. Say if maybe it's health, we are actually in the hospitals getting the experience, like what is that experience like for someone who's actually on the ground and doing a lot of like getting feedback before designing anything. Then for that day, like we saw, even if it's something minute in the industry, but more in the field than us thinking like, what could be in the health industry? Like actually building a solution on ground with people live on a certain day. Like that would be something cool to do because I know, say for example, today I'm going to the open markets and then we find out like what the challenges are and design on ground and actually like quickly test, even if it's just a fragment of a bigger solution. Then that way, I feel like for me, I would learn a lot on how to immediately think of a solution from a user experience. That would train that muscle. Because obviously we are so used to doing the whiteboards and the flip and drawing diagrams, but we actually don't have an immediate, like the moment I tell you a solution, I feel like my first impulse should be going to interact with those people before I even touch a pen or my machine. So that's an area that I'd love to see a lot of women and also a lot of developers and people in tech really prioritize outside of what is already happening.
nice, technical. Grace. And I think being a social being, I think women generally are social beings. I think I'd just like to see a community, women that we can talk to, and I think we have similar experiences. So women of different ages and levels of expertise, that we can have a community.
Sorry. Hello, my name is Angela Koki. Yes, and I think what I'd like to see more. Okay, so I've been studying UX, and then I found it interesting. So I came across this term design sprints. So I think I'd like to see more public design sprints where a lot of people, like just what the two people have said, that we can participate and share ideas, just as you said, really. Yeah. Yes,
She's so sweet. So hey, I'm Fiona. What I would say is, because coming from an artist background, I would love to see how far we can push the boundaries of what it means to be an artist, because even just today with Sam, I learned how like people are coding music these days, and they're like DJs and music producers. So just seeing what that world could look like and exploring people's creativity. That's basically for me. Thanks, guys.
Hi, my name is Charity. I think for me, I would like to basically just mirror what Fiona said. There's so much, because I studied graphic and interior design. There's so much in art that I feel like could be used to solve so many things, especially in tech, that we haven't really dug deep into it. And I feel like, especially for women, we are very quick to finding solutions in our daily lives. So I feel like if we open our minds and bring tech into it, that would be really awesome. And having a community to share and grow, that will really like take us to great heights. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maureen, and what I'd like to see is like different, like let's say a software engineer, like I'm a data analyst, like trying to transition from administration to data analysis. So like all of us coming together to build a solution, collaboration.
Hi, my name is Esther. Very bad with microphones, so you might see it shaking a bit. Anyway, so I think I have just two things that I could mention. The first is about women in tech, particularly. I would like to see more confidence, if I can call it that, because I've had the chance to sit on the other side of the interview table a few times, including for senior developers. I wasn't a senior at the time, but I was allowed to sit in. And it's interesting to see once people are asked, let's say something like, what's your expected salary? A trend I've noticed is that women always mention a way lower, a much lower figure than men. You'd find even the skills that are being showcased, you can clearly see in some sections, she's actually much better than the other people, the other candidates, but the ask is always way lower. So maybe a lot more confidence in terms of that. So food for thought for everyone here. Just ask yourself, what could you have asked for that someone else actually did? And then the second thing is now not for women particularly, but just as practice for me, I've done a lot of software development, like nitty-gritties. So, and I feel like a lot of developers, I'm actually a self-taught developer, but I feel like I went the route that goes into the detail. So I'd see a lot of people have come out of school, they studied it and everything, but no one actually did the homework to find out why do we do certain things. Like there's some things you can't question everything. You can't question things like to do with the OS if it's not really to do, if it has nothing to do with what you work with. But some of the things that you work with on a daily basis, you could have actually optimized it way better if you just took the time and actually, let's say, read the documentation or just found out why did this person do this. Don't just copy what's it called, an answer on Stack Overflow or something. So very dev related projection or wish list. But yeah, that's the second one for me. Performance is something that's greatly overlooked. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Sharon. What I would like to see in the tech space. Okay, for me, I came from an engineering background, not necessarily software, so I'm kind of, actually transitioned into tech. And what I'd love to see is a solution. Okay, currently it's like I'm building a solution as to where junior software developers can get internships for what they've learned. Because I feel like when you talk about tech or people like talk about this tech thing, I think it favors more of the senior side more than the junior developers. Like people don't want to help the juniors to get to where they are. So you're like, so who's the future if you won't help this person who's coming in now? So I'm trying to see how I can maybe build a platform where juniors can just get internships, not to just, because LinkedIn is like a lot. So to just like consolidate like just for junior devs, at least to help them have that confidence to enter the job market. So I can imagine now for women who are junior developers, it's even like, yeah. So I hope I will be able to do that for someone, because me, I struggle. I'm still struggling, but I hope I will be able to help someone who's coming behind me. So a lot of mentorship also on the women's side, because I don't feel like there are many women mentors in this space. So that will be really interesting to see. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Lasoi. I'm interested in transitioning from other fields. I major in communication, but I want to try tech. So that's what I'm looking for. Also mentorship and guidance, and as the rest said, a sense of community. Also, I'm not really interested in most of the technical stuff, or I'm too scared to do that. So yeah, it's the fear, yeah, definitely. So if you can guide me, that would be nice.
Hello everyone, my name is Susan Gore, and being among the last people to talk, you get many ideas when people keep talking. So I'm like, yes, she said a nice point, I think I should. Okay, so let me begin with those ones. She said something to do with artists. So yes, art. I feel like tech is too broad to limit it to only just tech, and it can venture into very many sectors, fields, industries, all those words. So I feel like those are the things that we will continue embracing and developing and actually taking them out on the field, not just having meetups and hacking something. And then you get your t-shirt and you post on LinkedIn, Slack somewhere. The other thing was, I feel like we need to, someone said something about women confidence in tech. We get more, I'm not a fem, we're not going into feminism right now. I see there are guys here, so let me not make you cross your legs and uncross them. When men do something, when they take a risk, they don't overthink it. So it's either they do very well at it or very bad. And for ladies, we overthink something. We are like, if I do this, I might get this. So let me do half this and get half this first. So I feel like we should encourage each other to push ourselves to do more, because with that ability to overthink, we can actually do better. And that is one. Let me not dive deep into them. And then we have people who do other courses that are not IT related, but then they come and venture into IT. I feel like we should also get more platforms where we reach out to such people, because yes, maybe we have friends who we were with in campus and they did other courses, but then they see you maybe doing better at tech and they're asking you, how can I start? So let's create such programs where we can be able to encourage them to join. Yes, I know maybe they look at you and they're like, tech, there's money, I want tech. But let's teach them there's more to tech than just money, which I know, yes, we all love. No, let me not speak for you. Let me just stop there. Yeah, thank you.
Right. My name is Sonia, and what I've been thinking about as people spoke is sort of like where the intersections are, the margins. So transitioning from outside of tech into tech, transitioning even within tech, whether it's from developing to UX or UX to cybersecurity, what's that like? And the little things like confidence and how do you negotiate. I feel like those are unspoken things that people don't know how to do, or perhaps they don't do them, or they feel embarrassed, or so I think those would be interesting conversations to have. I wonder whether it would also be interesting to speak to people who haven't gotten into tech yet. I wonder whether when students decide to do like maybe medicine or something else, they just haven't had someone to chat to them about tech and the different areas there are. I feel like when I got into it because I thought, developing is cool, I could be a creator and whatnot. But perhaps if I knew about cybersecurity or UX, I would have ventured into something like that. So how do you get that to ladies early enough, so they can make the decisions for themselves?
Hello. Hi. Yes, my name is Sylvia. And what I would want to see in the tech space, first of all, is like most people have said, the collaboration to create bolder ladies. I feel like there are ladies in tech, but being bold is, we're a bit here and there, we're not very sure. Yeah, so we could just empower ourselves, each other, to be more bold and do things like she said, don't go all in, like men, all in, either get it or you don't. So yeah, that's something I would love to see. And also I would love to see solutions that are more, let me just use an example, it makes more sense in my head. Things are perceived very differently in my head. So there's your room. It's fine. So there's your room and there's a hotel room. So I'd like to see, a hotel room is, yeah, it's pretty, but it's a hotel room. It's nice, but it's not your room. There's a way you have your things, there's a way, yeah. So I like solutions that are more, especially for ladies. I feel like if we had solutions that felt more like your room than a hotel room, like in apps or in things like that, you get the gist. Yeah, there's just something about it. Yeah, so that's what I'd like to see more. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very interesting analogy. So my name is Yvonne. I think for me, what I'd want to see is empathy. I'd want to see leadership. I'd want to see collaboration, ownership, and honest conversation. So, yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia, and I think like most people, yeah, the sense of community, and to the extent where you have no shame promoting your fellow lady because you know she's good at what she's doing. Yeah, I think also all aspects of getting new ladies into tech, once you're in tech, how do you go to your boss and be like, I run this, you need to pay me that much. Not saying that, Sam. Yeah, so, yeah, and I mean, to the lady who said you don't do a lot of tech stuff, I'm here, basically live in the servers all day. So we should catch up. So I mean, such kind of things where we reach out to each other, be like, I know you want to do UX, I know you want to do infra, I know you want to do backend. So just forming that network, which I find really exciting. Also something like, I know you have an idea, and I have contacts, they could fund you to, come up with a startup and all this. Yeah, so that's what I'd like to see. Am I the last one? No, we have more ladies here.
Hi ladies, my name is Alinda. I'm in finance department, but I have interest in tech. So I'm just here to listen to you, explore and learn anything that I'll be able to take. Yes.
Hi ladies, so my name is Tumi, and I like tech because it evolves, it keeps growing, you keep learning, and I feel that that's also what a woman is, a female is. We keep building, we keep changing, we keep learning, and that is also what we project to our community as well. A woman, whatever we get our hands on, we give it back 10x, and if we are involved in technology, then we're able to build very powerful things. And like we've heard, tech is not only just development, there's human-centered design, there is, which actually requires empathy, and guess who has empathy, more empathy than anyone else? It's the woman, so we need exposure in such environments. We need to be involved in research. Because we also have an eye for detail, we have an ear, we are able to hear. So and that is what I like about tech. That is why I'm involved in tech. I really like to hear other people's problems and really want to know, how can I help you? I might not be a developer, but I can definitely help you. Yeah.
I hope it's okay, I don't have an accent.
Okay, so hi, my name is Judy Ngura. That's my older sister there. Yeah, so for me, maybe what I want to see is a few things. One, more women in tech, and not just being in tech, actually being in tech. What that means is women in, I don't know, like literally in the tech space, doing, moving, pushing, starting, building, ideally being in tech. And then the most important thing is right now, for sure, tech is male. It's very male. And this is in terms of how products are right now. They're built by men. So somebody somewhere decided to build for the 50% of the world population and forgot about us. Yeah, and I would like to see that change, because it's a big problem, especially when you start to use these products. FYI, I'm the one moderating, so this is me picking up the mic. Yeah, so 50, you see it as a big problem right now. For instance, I know anyone here who's used Uber. When Uber was built, somebody decided, what we need this app to do is, there's the customer end, the customer needs to find the driver, and then the driver needs to find the customer, and then they need to just know where they're going. That was the entire user experience, right? But then, this was the initial design, and the whole point of the initial design is that the product should work, and it works. Uber works, right? It gets you from point A to point B, and that's it. You can find your driver can find you. But somebody somewhere didn't think, okay, so this driver, how is he finding the 50% population, the 50% of the world population, that's the women? They have to call you. So I'm going to give you a situation that happened to me a few months ago. I ordered, the first time I ever used Bolt. I was like, okay, let me try this app, because it had a lot of PR around it. And I had when you sign up, you get discounts. So I'm so broke, so let me just order this Bolt thing. Yeah, cheap is very expensive. So there's usual, the driver is like, where are you? Okay, let me pick you up. He comes, picks me up. I go down. Tunaenda kwenye tunaenda. So 2 weeks later,
the driver, a strange number calls me. It's like, "Hi, madam, do you remember me? I carried you 2 weeks ago. I am outside your building." So I peep through the window and I can see the Uber driver. He's actually outside the building. And I'm so scared. I'm like, "Okay, what do you want?" I'm like, no, nataka tu kukuongelesha. I just want to talk to you." I'm like, "About what?" "No, you know, the other day I carried you. You are very friendly. I feel like I can talk to you. I just want us to talk. Can you come down?" So I close my window. I close my door. I call the waiting. I'm like, "There's that Uber driver. There's that car outside. You see that? Yes. Please do not allow him into the building." And then I had to call somebody, a friend of mine who lived around. I'm like, just in case this is happening. So I felt so scared. And the driver kept calling. He was there for 2 hours. He parked outside there for 2 hours. I even blocked him. And he kept calling because he still has my number. He just find another phone. And you know these Uber drivers, they have more than one phone. Yes, there's always the Bolt phone, and then there's the Uber phone, and then little cab phone. They have all these phones. So he kept calling with strange numbers. I'm like, okay. So whoever who did this UX did not think we have these weirdos out here. He did provide the service, right? I got point A to point B. But then the aftermath of that, he still, even up to date, he still have my phone number. So do I have to change my phone number because of one person? Do I have to do that? No, it's gonna cost me more to actually lose my number. So I didn't mean to scare you, but security is very scary. And I know some of you came with Uber, some of you came with Bolt, right? And I'm very sure, very sure, at least 85% of you have some of these UX problems with some of these products that you're using. So that's what I'm opening up the floor for. This is a conversation. By the way, do you want the men to leave? Or are they okay there? Yeah. So I'm opening up the conversation because we want to understand how we can build the tech for the other 50% of the population that everybody seems to have forgotten. Yeah, and I think it starts from what she said. Let me see, I don't remember. Your name was a color. Lavender, yes. Yeah, you said it would be good if we went on ground to build this product. So imagine if we went on ground to fix this Uber problem. Do you think we'd actually have drivers who have our numbers? No? Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, Uber's it has solved so many problems, yeah? It has really connected us, and we've been able to move from one point to another. But it really makes you think about when great people, great minds are developing, they're looking more at the end result of just functionality. You know, just will it make people move from point A to B? Yes, okay, perfect. What is the business model behind this? Okay, we're able to be profitable, perfect. But then nobody's considering, where are we serving these people? We're in a market where, women are at risk of so many things. You know, there's gender-based violence. There's just so many things that a woman faces that is not considered when a product from the West is coming down to South, right? And there's also within our regulations as well, they don't consider that when they're accepting those big brands to come to us. They don't consider, our regulators do not consider that, look, these are African problems that we have, and we need to look into how we protect our women. But when it comes to, and that is why it's important to have female representation when we're talking about technology and bringing out new age tech. You need to have someone that's sitting in the research team and they're like, but you guys are not considering that after this driver drops you off, they have access to so much of your data. You know, they have access to basically getting away with whatever they want to, right? If you look at another case, Airbnb, you rent it out. You pay, you go and spend a weekend there, and the host can then just, they have your details. They have so much information about you that you are at risk. And even the fact that you're staying in their house, where is the security that you're not going to come in at night? I actually have a scenario. I have an experience where the host's husband came at night, and I was not informed that there's going to be a male coming at this place. So I ended up not enjoying the experience at all because there's a male in the house. This was not part of the plan. I do not feel safe. I did not sleep the whole night, and I just left before even checkout. So I feel like that is why it is important to actually go into the mind of a woman and say, this is what I'm developing. How does it make you feel? What is your response towards what I'm doing? And how do you handle things? Yes, a matatu might not be safe. And yes, Uber is, and we're using Uber as an example here. Uber is a better solution to just using a matatu that drops you off down and then you still have to walk. But then what about the individual that's driving you? What about my data? What about my safety? Where does that leave me? Your brand is great, but where does that actually leave me?
You okay? Yeah, just absorbing. It's fine. It's a safe space. Yeah. Welcome to our latecomers. I have to put you on the spot. Were you guys like seated somewhere and waiting or? Okay, please welcome. Just come in. There's a space up there. You leave. All right, welcome. Okay, so I think now this is the point where the moderator stands, and because now you're too many. Okay, so I want to open the room up for conversation on that, and I think it starts with the Lavender's point on building on ground, then Tumi's point on how we bringing all these products here in Africa. Have you considered our kind of problems before dumping a whole product on us? Does it actually solve? Does it help? Have you considered the security? And have you considered the 50% of the population? Yeah. And then I think there's somebody who was in UX. Somebody said she's in UX. User experience. Yeah. Yeah. With user experience, you can tell us maybe, because I know you guys develop based on user requirements. They come and say, okay, so we need a product that can move me from here to here. So your job is to come up with a user journey of how that product will move me from here to here. Is there usually a mindset that goes into, is this appropriate? Can this work for the other 50% of the population? Or is it about the fact that it can move me from here to here? Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot. There's another mic. Yeah.
Right, so I've just studied UX and finished, but I will do my very best. I think, if I remember the question correctly, when looking at a problem and at a space, it's perhaps prudent to have a user sample that's representative. So you need to bring in, and develop perhaps personas of people that actually represent like different people that would use your solution. So I think having feedback from them right from the beginning, unbiased feedback, and then using that and distilling that to generate requirements and then having that framework is super important. Then you can go ahead, I suppose, and build something, or rather develop sort of like a simple solution that represents that, and still go back to them and say, hi, does this look good to you? Do you have any concerns? And the sort of different methods to elicit different responses. So it's not just a response like, does this work? But it's also, how does this feel to you? And how does this feel to you at different stages? yeah, I don't know if yeah.
Thank you. And yes, what she's saying is quite important, right? And I'm thinking that when you're going through that entire design, the design thinking stages, do we actually well position empathy? You know, do we actually understand what empathy is? You know, when we're doing, and I'm not posing the question to you. I'm actually posing it to, and perhaps when I'm asking this question, think of it as a product that you have used. You know, did they actually consider how you feel when you are using a particular product? And going back, I'm shame Uber is getting a bashing today, but does Uber know how unsafe I feel when I'm being driven in the dark by a male driver? You know, and I know that Bolt now has an option where you can actually choose a woman driver if you want. So, and even for the female driver, it is also a challenge for them to pick up people in the dark. You know, so how do we maybe let's also think in an African concept. How do we build solutions for Africa that actually considers the challenges that we have as Africans? You know, maybe in the US it's easy to just get into an Uber, there's a camera perhaps there, maybe your phone is recording the entire journey, and that's enough. But then if I'm gonna take the recording, we actually lost a phone 2 weeks ago in an Uber, and it was so hard to find the driver. So imagine if something happens to a woman inside the ride and they want to go report this driver. The best Uber can do is just, they will block you off the system and you won't be driving, and maybe they'll take that to the police station when you open a case, but what happens next? So the empathy, actually putting yourself in the shoes of someone that has, and I'm trying to put this quite carefully, putting yourself you don't have to be in their shoes, but putting yourself, empathizing with someone that has gone through abuse. What would it mean for you to be in that position? What are the anxieties that you're feeling when you are in a situation where you are being driven in the dark by a man in a country that's not yours? Do you understand? Like, what does that say, about the brilliant brains that are helping us with this technology? Brilliance needs a human factor as well. You need to position yourself and say, okay, I've got the high level figured out, but then there's another gap that I'm not figuring out, and it's actually market specific, right? What we face in Kenya is different to what we face in South Africa versus Egypt and other markets. So I find research, and sorry if I'm going off topic here, but I find research so beautiful, because when I come to Judy and I'm like, yeah, I went on the ground, Judy, I spoke to 50 women in the market, and they tell me when they sell, maybe, one of their most concerns is, will someone come and rob them of their money? Or, Judy is able to provide, as a cybersecurity expert, she's able to provide, okay, how do we, based on what an engineer would be putting together, how do we actually add the security element so that she is not exposed to such things? What is currently available in the system that we can build on top of it to make things easier? And sometimes it's not even the fancy technology that's needed, right? It is the human element. How do I make it safe? How are we connecting the dots to make sure that there is security, there is there's dignity, for human. Yeah.
For the guys who just joined, it's an open conversation. So if you feel there's that thing itching you want to say, just pick up the mic and say it. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel okay, we need to remember that I know we're not just talking about Uber, but we've chosen that one as a topic. So Uber is, the male drivers in Uber are not the root of the problem. even before Uber, even without Uber, there's already the problem of insecurity and harassment. And so now when we implement now Uber, there are things that maybe they as Uber have tried to put as measures to assist curb a bit of insecurity. I'm saying a bit because I feel like there's still more that they need to do. There is, let me go back a little bit. I know we were told when we were trying to give a story, it's like a train with very many railways. You're not going straight to the point. But so there is, I remember when we were being taught about HIV and AIDS, whether it's primary, whether it's campus, you're told about how do we solve this problem of spreading of HIV and AIDS. There is creating awareness, there is educating the masses. So even when we can use the same when it comes to Uber, there are measures that they've put, like you can send your location to your friend so that they can keep track of where you're going. There's also, I use Bolt. I feel like it's a bit cheaper. No judgment. It's a safe space, right? Very safe space. So I see there's also where they tell you, you confirm that the information that is on the app is correct. There's also where they tell you not to continue with your ride outside the app? Yes, where you can cancel, where the driver might tell you, you can cancel the ride, we'll go there, just take the price, and then there's that. You see, so there is also a lot that we as the users need to take into consideration. I know you'll feel unsafe. I know there is all these insecurities. Yes, they're there, but are you also doing your part of actually trying to secure yourself? So even when we create solutions, we also need to educate the masses, also teach them how to use them. It's the same way as when you're telling people when you tell people about creating strong passwords. These are just usual things that are there in tech. Don't give out your passwords. You might find someone on the laptop, they have a sticky note of their passwords. So it's just there, you don't even. So there are things that we keep on teaching people. So I feel like even when we implement new security measures, we also need to continue educating people and also implementing them themselves. As you preach water and you drink wine, so yeah. The train has arrived.
Very good point.
So I'll add on 2 points. The first one just came to me. That I remembered having a conversation that's very important, which is policy and policymakers. Because I feel like as engineers or developers, we tend to stay within our field, but we actually need more people in policy making. Because yes, we might want to solve the solution, but if there's no one like in parliament actually pushing our agenda, then it becomes a bit easy, because if the cameras around Nairobi work better, then you can pick that data of the licenses and all that stuff. So I think it's just dawned on me that like we really need to also push our end to be people in tech, but also influence the policy making. Because at the end of the day, after you build and the government comes and say you need like 100 licenses before you launch, we need more advocacy in that space. And I think that brings in the topic of collaboration, where we bring more people outside of tech who can bring forward tech issues into policy making, the issues of security, etc. Because we might want to innovate, but if the government doesn't back some of the things, because I remember in one of the hackathons we were looking at ways to involve the government in building, and there were so many APIs we didn't have. We're like, oh my god, we need something that gives us this, we need something that gives us this, but they're actually non-existent because there's no one pushing for these policies, areas of security. So that's one point that I think would be nice to look at, because if we know we have one woman in maybe parliament who can push our bills in the area of tech, then we are like, okay, let's build this and get like the proper infrastructures for that particular solution. Then the second point is on basically human-centered design, because for me, I usually feel one, not every, I know we are techies, but not every solution needs a mobile app. Like if I want to teach someone how to ride a bicycle, I'll be like, let me make an app on, no, okay. So we need a lot of us outside there experiencing life in a nutshell. Then we are able to build backwards. I'm an advocate more of building backwards than building forward, of experience the problem first. Don't even touch your computer. Don't draw anything on any flip chart. Don't use any whiteboard. Experience the problem, then design for it. Because I remember there was a time we were doing a food delivery app, and we were testing in the CBD, and we had everything in check, like location, like someone can just pop, and then it's delivered. And then we got there, and so many dynamics, like the city council didn't want us in a certain area. You can't do this and that. And I'm like, how did no one not know this before we arrived? So if we actually talked up, I remember getting shocked that these mama pimas are actually doing well in the CBD. And I'm like, how? Like, it has to be Uber Eats or like Glovo at the time. I think that was 2019, so Glovo was just entering market and they were doing big ads and whatnot. And I could just go like, this is not going to work at this point. And seeing how building backwards is actually beneficial, even in like saving money, because you save a lot in how you market etc. And that will be more effective if one, we collaborate with people who don't think about the code at all. And then we are actually like, we experience the problem first before we try to design for it.
If I may add on top of what she said about experiencing. In my opinion, human-centered design is more about the user than it is about us who are creating the product. So, we could have a session where, for instance, if we are making the food delivery app, and we've had a discussion here about, how useful that would be within here. This is our ecosystem that would benefit from it. But it's not enough to like have a whole app that will run and be successful. So my opinion is to find more than one case study, more than one. So we have this is a group of techies, and then we go and find, say, the Mama Pimas or our Sewa Mjengo. You go and ask them, if I were to create an app, what would you want from it? What would you expect from it? Take that as a case study. It's easier to talk to the user and like have an idea of who this user is going to be. Will they be Mtu wa Mjengo? Will they be that person who spends the entire day in the house on the computer? Will they be in the office working? How would they want that to look like? It's easy to experience, but you can't experience everything. So, talk to the people who have experienced more than your scope.
Sorry, yeah. Wow. You have a point? Okay.
Hello. Hi. So, just building on what you've said, Lavender. Yes, because I love the approach she's saying, building backwards, which you have added on to. So I have an addition that turns into a suggestion, then I'll leave you as food for thought. I'm doing the train thing. Oh no. Okay. So let me just get to it. Does it mean, like, for example, are we doing it wrong? For example, when we're creating solutions, the first thing I can just think of the top of my head, to find solutions maybe at a hackathon. That's where people come up with solutions, right? So are we doing it wrong? Should we be doing it differently such that if we want to have, for example, if we want to have an AT hackathon, should we be doing it in 2 parts? We do day 1, field study, then day 2, the actual solution. For example, if we want to find solutions for people in the market, mama mbogas, yeah? Day 1, we'll all, let's say, assemble, then disperse to the nearest market. Everyone goes, you spend the day talking to them. What do you want it to do? No computers, tech people, don't touch, don't code. That's what I mean, yes. I mean pen and paper and listening. We do that for day 1. At the end of the day, you assemble, see what you've got. Then from there, now we build solutions. Is that sort of the idea? So maybe we've been doing it wrong the whole time. We focus on whiteboards and marker pens and code. Mama Mboga doesn't know Java. Where are we? That's not the idea. Okay, that's just an example. But now that's how we should be doing it, right? That's what I'm kind of, the suggestion that I'm kind of having, that I'm leaving as food for thought, What if we're doing it all wrong? We should be approaching it from the other side. Should start with that, then I'll present the solutions. I feel like they'll be more refined and they'll be more human-centered. Yeah.
Ish, Africa is talking. Yeah? Okay, now we have a thousand. It's okay, I'll put one here and the other one on the other side. Who's the other person?
Hello. I'm Alan, actually. I've been thinking about the thing to do with Uber, and my thought is, what if you're actually overthinking? In the sense that, listen me out. In the sense that there are some systems that traditionally worked really well. For an example would be when I was young, my parents would hire a guy they trust, and he would take me to school and pick me from school back home. But then there came Uber. So with Uber, what happens is you're actually going online, picking somebody you don't trust, and then boarding the vehicle and go home. Ideally, for somebody who's thinking about security, the Uber guy overthought. What if the apps that we're actually using could ensure that as a user is using an app such as Uber or Bolt or any of those apps, we will say that over time you can make a list of drivers you actually trust, and then say that when a driver is, when you're selecting, when you're actually saying that you want to take a ride from here, let's say to Westlands, an example, you'll have a list of priority where you can say, I trust this driver because I've actually had like you already have a connection. So with them you will say that there's a risk, the risk of something bad happening to you is actually low. And if that is possible, then will there be need for, let's say, that perhaps some things there's no need to innovate in some areas, because some of the systems that are actually existing are actually more safer than the systems you're trying to build. Because if you say you're trying to build a system and then you want to incorporate over there things like cameras, it's a good idea. You want to incorporate over there things like what else? Navigation tracker or something. Yeah, it's a good idea, but these things need, first of all, money. It needs consent for the drivers. It needs you to go to the parliament and say that you want to change laws and stuff. It needs Elon Musk to build a Starlink so that you can have stable internet. Yeah, pretty much. Well, there's already existing system that has been working. So, sometimes I think we're actually overthinking. That is my perspective. Thanks.
So the part of overthinking, I think it's part of what makes us as females, I don't know about everyone else, but but it really makes me, it makes me prosper at what I do, because by the time I'm done thinking about a problem, I've come up with 1,001 solutions. So if one doesn't work, there's 1,000 others. But I want to answer her question. The first time I went into a hackathon, I went in because, they said, come with fresh ideas. So I was like, yeah, let's go with fresh ideas. And then when I got there, it's like, these people actually had done their research, and, they had numbers and graphs and even those, it's whatever.
they already had like their companies up and running. So one thing I realized about hackathons, yes, you go with the idea, but most people come in already done their research. So as much as you're going in there, yeah, that's why I don't think that whole one day is viable. Maybe a bit later on, but yeah, one thing I realized is when you want to build an idea, make sure that people actually want it. It's going to be viable, and it's something that is gonna be sustainable. Because I've had a lot of ideas, and you're like, oh my god, this is great. Mental health is like a really budding space, blah blah blah. But like when you look at the sustainability and all that, there's just like a lot of problems. So you actually need to have, when you have an idea, you build on it first before you present it to someone. That way, people can see where you have something wrong, and then like they fix it or they help you. They give you ideas.
Nice. I wanted to something. He mentioned something. Trust. That's one human-centered design element that's very big for the 50%, the female. Trust. And I liked his idea. And then she mentioned something, viability. Is that a human-centered design element or business-centered design element? It's a business, right? But then the two needs to work together, right? And I think with the world product market right now, the business end of it is very much approached. People have case studies. This will work. This is how we do the MVP. This is the cost we'll do. This is where we'll try out. This is the markets we go for. But then the human-centered design, trust. One of them being trust. Trust. Yeah, trust. Yeah, one of them being trust. It's not something that you can actually put in a case study. How do you approach trust in a case study, right? It's very hard to achieve. But it's still something that's needed. So how many people here use Bolt? The women, sorry. Wow. How many people here would not be caught dead using Bolt? How many people here would not use Uber? Interesting numbers. I hope you're recording this because I need it. Yeah. Those who say who still use Bolt? Why would you still use Bolt?
Yeah, I still use Bolt.
Okay.
Why do I use it?
Yeah.
It's cheaper.
Okay.
I do not feel safe in Bolt, but it's cheaper.
Wow.
If it's late, I need to book Uber because I'm much safer.
Yeah.
There's I feel like what do you call it? Hypothesis-driven discovery.
Yeah.
Is not that's in research, right? When you're in the market and you're doing your research, because when you start with research, you start with assumptions. I assume that because she's got natural hair, I can sell her, I don't know, oils and stuff like that. Until I actually speak to her and she's like, no, she does not use oils and such and blah blah blah, and this is what she prefers. I feel like that is what high tech lacks. We change based on user behavior. So Bolt probably thinks I'm in demand. People like me, But then if they do empathy mapping, they will then know exactly how their users feel. That I don't use a matatu because it is the most convenient thing, or they have vibe, the music inside. That's what I want to use when I go home. No, it's cheaper. I'm able to feed my family if I use a cheaper option, right? If I use Uber, look, no one's eating chicken for a week. So it's that, and they're right. The technology works. Uber solves maybe we should stop mentioning their brand. Like the ride-hailing companies, they're solving a very important problem. It was difficult for us to be working overtime. It was hard. I would not be here at 7 p.m. because how am I going to get home? You know, but we also as humans, now that we see solutions that work, how do I bring the human factor into that? How do I make it make sense? Do you understand? How do I, now that we've discovered that there was a bigger problem and we've managed to address it, how do I now put the human factor in it?
I want to ask the same question to the guys. Is there a difference for you guys in using Uber or Bolt? Yeah. Between the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, between the 8 of you, which of you is not comfortable using Bolt? Yeah? Bolt is you're not comfortable using Bolt. And Uber?
Hi, my name is Dennis. Okay, Dennis. Sometimes no feel ish when I use Bolt.
Why?
Because this happened. I was sharing with my friends actually today. I booked a border from, one of the reasons because it's cheap as well, from National Center to Galana Road. And it was 150. When I reached there, the guy said it is 340. I don't know how. Then, you know me, I speak my mind, so yes. Yes, so I went on and on with that guy for like 30 minutes. Then the head of security of that place came, that embassy came, and he actually booked the same ride from there to National Center. It was 150. So meaning sometimes they have a way of invoicing for themselves, then give you their figure. Then an email is also sent to your email. Like I don't know how they do. They say, hey, check your email, and when you check, it is it's the price that he said, but when he booked, it was way less. So sometimes at night, I will never book Bolt.
So it's a night thing, or is it at the end of the month or the beginning of the month?
Like the trust for that.
Or for the app?
For the app.
Yeah. So would you have booked the Uber if it was 350 initially?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So. Okay.
I think for me, my experience, it depends on the driver. You know, like you could get into a car and the driver is in a bad mood. Maybe I don't know what's going on. Like I've been in a car with a driver and I thought he was gonna kill me because he received this phone call from the guy who owns the car, and the guy is yelling at him, and the guy was so agitated, and you can see he's on Wayaki when you're like, okay, we're gonna crash because it's one of those Uber tiny ones. But then I talked to him and he said, look, I don't own this car. This guy his father is in hospital in Kenyatta and he needs money to get a bed. So he's calling me to get the money so he can get the bed. I actually ended up hiring the guy because the way there's a way he dealt with it that you can see there's a bit of emotional intelligence where, you know, so it all, and you could get into a Bolt and find the loveliest guy who's having a good day, who's like, you know what, I'm doing this. So actually one thing I've noticed with Uber is depends on whether the driver owns the car or not. If they own the car, they're vibing, they're like, you know, they're playing nice music, they don't want too many things. But if they don't own the car, there's an anxiety that they have, which I think starts to affect the experience. So it probably goes deeper. You probably need to personalize now to the level of, and I like the idea of building maybe a trusted community of drivers where you at least know their well-being is taken care of, they're in a good place, and then there's no anxiety that's creeping in that's now being reflected on how they're treating you.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you so much.
I just want to add on there 2 points because that's something I've noticed about solutions that do well. Like Facebook was built, like it was first about community before it was, well, now it's making some good money. Yeah, but I think that's something that Uber and Bolt should implement like tomorrow, because even now the guy who's coming to pick me up, I got him on Bolt, but since he comes from my area, like every night before he goes back home, he calls me and he's like, are you around the CBD? And we just drive back.
and I have like 5 Uber drivers and Bolt drivers from my area. So nowadays I use Bolt for pricing and Uber for pricing. I'm like, okay, going to. Then we look at it and we're like, okay, so it's this much. And then we go and we don't even like, unless they're like so fast, that's when I actually use Uber or Bolt. So I'm off the app, but I'm still using the app for pricing. So I think, because I see now on WhatsApp, they've introduced community. Yeah, so community, if there was a way within my community, like the drivers could still use the app, but it's a community, like we could even like ride share. And there are so many features to play around that actually solve that particular problem. And it's based, like, I've found that community aspect of solutions solving so many problems that, because they're problems you can never know they're going to come up in market. But once there's that community aspect to your solution, then it solves so many, let me call, human bugs of your system before you even know it. Whereas if you just build solely for, okay, this is the problem and this is the technicality of it, the technicality of it, and you remove the human side, then, so I think they can really implement the community part very easily and get customers like me back, because there's no way I'm using Bolt or Uber and they take me every day and everywhere. Like, I just need to find which of the 5 of them are closest to me.
I like that, the community aspect. Hey, okay, see, the community aspect. Yeah, most viable